Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I'm currently 34 years old, almost 35 years old, and I was reflecting what advice would I give to myself if I was 20 years old. So I've built up a $6.2 million net worth, scaled to about 90 units at one point, but currently sit at 52 units of real estate, still work a full-time W-2 job as a pharmacy manager at a hospital. So what advice would I tell my 20-year-old self? So I think for me, I would tell my 20-year-old self to prioritize going to the gym, right? So that's something I did start, and I remember I grew up very weak, very fragile, Asian American genetics. I'm Vietnamese specifically, so we're not born with bodies that generate a lot of muscle, so inherently very weak. So I had to work out just to feel like I was normal. But then over time I was able to get into powerlifting. I was able to build strength. And why I would say work out is because that was kind of the start of my self-esteem and self-confidence boosting, and that's what made me more ambitious, because I always had a very strong desire to improve myself, mentally, financially, spiritually, physically. Any way I can improve, I was game, right? So I felt like that was the foundation that helped me drive towards ambition. So, another thing that I'll tell my 20-year-old self is to optimize sleep. So, I was the type where I'd stay up to 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and wake up for my 8 a.m. class and be half asleep, and optimizing my sleep. So obviously getting that right, in addition to exercise, and then in addition to diet, right? So I didn't do any of the three very well in my 20s. I would add on reading more about finance. So I wish that I had the wherewithal to self-educate myself about personal finance. I didn't really get into reading, about personal finance until I was probably 27 years old. So I wish I had the exposure to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or to just read Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game earlier, or to seek somebody that had that knowledge and to ask more questions. For me, that was never a really thought. I was just living the, typical college life. And, back then in the year 2010, YouTube wasn't as big yet. I think YouTube was just mostly, dance videos or people just posting videos about themselves. I don't really know. I didn't really have a smartphone back then, or didn't really use it. And I just don't remember YouTube being that big. So, I wish I had the wherewithal to, go to the library and go to the self or personal finance section and then just check out some books. And I'm pretty sure I would have came across Rich Dad Poor Dad to at least get me thinking differently and to get me thinking proactively, right? Because when I graduated pharmacy school at 23 years old with $250,000 of student debt and making $120,000 as a pharmacist, I knew absolutely nothing. And all I knew was to pay off my student debt. So I had $250,000 student debt. So obviously, I spent the next 4 years just, working my job, living humbly, and then whatever the difference would be thrown at the student loans, right? But had I known, about real estate sooner, obviously I could have bought in 2013 or, 2015, and, hindsight's always 2020, right? If I bought real estate in 2015 versus 2017, obviously there's opportunity for appreciation. I think in the Bay Area, every year it appreciated by $100,000. So, if had I known about real estate instead of aggressively paying off my student loans, which I refinanced to about a 3.5% interest rate, I would have, put 10% down on a piece of real estate that I house hacked. I would live in the master, rent out the 3 other rooms. And, back then insurance were probably around 4%. So, or sub 4. So I would have rather done that. And honestly, I could have, that property would have appreciated over 2-3 years. I could have sold that, pay off my student debt if I wanted to. So I kind of wish I learned more about that. I invested more in my self-education in terms of building wealth. For me, I thought being a pharmacist was enough. I thought pharmacists made good money, when you're 18 years old, going to college, you're like, wow, 6 figures is a lot of money. But, given inflation and how everything's more expensive now. Like $100,000 is, especially in the Bay Area, is not that much money, unfortunately. So, I wish I really self-educated myself. Another thing, I would have surrounded myself with people or picked the brains of people who, were a few years ahead of me and are who I wanted to be around. So I was very shy, very awkward, kind of like lone wolf mentality. And, I wish I found out a mentor that was, a few years older than me, into the same things as me, and networked with them, like within pharmacy school, or just asked around and was more curious. But I was just too focused on like doing school and chasing girls, or living that typical college life, right? So I wish had I had a mentor a few years ahead of me, it would have accelerated my journey, and then gotten me a lot faster, like to where I am a lot faster. I mean, all accounts being equal, $6.2 million net worth by 34, it's pretty young and early. But, had I had the mentorship even earlier, like I probably could have done it, 2 to 4 years even faster, just given the market and the economy from 2013 all the way until, present day. So, wish I would have seeked someone out, because I was just like, I would just study in the library, very antisocial, and then go home, go to the gym, watch anime, and then like just relax, right? It was really, I should have been more social, try to network, and maybe learn from those, because I'm sure there were some people in my class where they had rich families or something like that, and they could have picked their brains and maybe learned more about real estate sooner, right? So I really wish that I asked for more connections and find more mentors earlier on. So because that's the beauty about YouTube nowadays, and what inspires me to share is like, when I was 20, YouTube wasn't as big, but now it's huge. So if you're 20 years old today, you have so much access to like this information. If you just search it on YouTube, like YouTube's the second largest search engine behind Google. So you can find whatever you want. You can learn how to buy real estate, learn how to scale a real estate portfolio, and see people just like you doing it. Like when I was 20, I didn't see like young people buying real estate or owning real estate. The only people that owned real estate were just those that came from rich families. So, didn't have that exposure, but, I could have taken more ownership, taken more accountability, and seek those things out. Or, went to like meetups, and, back then like Facebook wasn't as big either. So, it is what it is. And even when I started like watching YouTube, learning about real estate, it was like 2019. Like I was 29 years old, right? I already owned like 2 or 3 single family homes, and I didn't even like really know what YouTube was, didn't really know what Spotify was and podcasts. And in 2019, that's when I really dived into like education, podcasts, watching YouTube videos, joining a mentorship, and that's when I exponentially grew. So, it's I was lucky and fortunate that I was able to have a high income W-2. I was able to not lifestyle inflate and save money to pay off my student debt, and then use the same principles to, jump into real estate. But like I said, had I had the people around me and the knowledge, it would have expedited my own journey, right? So that's why I'm very passionate about sharing my journey, because I really wish that like someone taught me. Like that's plain simple as it is. Like I wish someone, a few years older than me could just tell me what I'm telling you, assuming that you're younger than me. So yeah, I would have tried to seek more knowledge and be more curious, right? But I get it. You're just so focused. I was just so focused on trying to, go to pharmacy school and become a pharmacist. And by then I thought my life would be amazing, right? And don't get me wrong, it is, but it's a, upper middle class lifestyle. But if you want more freedom, if you want to step away from, the heroin called a monthly salary or monthly paycheck or bi-weekly paycheck, then that's kind of the only route you can go. So that's another piece of advice I would give my 20-year-old self. Another thing that I would do for my 20-year-old self is just, take risk, right? Like there's no need to be conservative when you're 20. Like literally you're living at home, you're going to college, paying, your living expenses through student debt. Like take some risk. Like maybe try starting a business, right? It's much easier in this day and age where like there's a lot of content creator YouTubers are like, they start when they're like 13 years old, and now they're like 19. They've been doing it for 6 years, and they're huge now. So they took a risk, right? And with social media and media in general, like, it's zero cost. Like, creating this is zero cost. I'm doing it on my phone. That everyone owns a phone now. Everyone owns a smartphone, and these smartphone supercomputers can film in 4K. That's crazy, right? Like, I remember in my high school, I had a Razr Motorola flip phone, right? And then the Blueberry or Blackberry phone, and that was like advanced. So just take risks, because if you fail, then so what? Like, if you fail, you just go and live back at home with your parents, right? Or stay with a friend. Like, it's like nothing to lose, right? Like, you can only learn from that knowledge, and it'll build your character, and it'll help develop you in the future, right? So, like, I wish that I took more risk early on. And for me, I was very ambitious in terms of my academia. Like, I have a doctorate degree, I have a master's degree, but I wish I took that $50,000 instead of getting a master's in public health degree at UC Berkeley. I would have taken that $50,000 and invested it in myself. Like, invest it in some real estate, invest it into some course, invest into some business that I wanted to try. So that'd probably have a lot more dividends than my master's in public health. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool and I don't regret it. I mean, it is investing in myself. That's all I knew, right? But had I known about investing in business and real estate, I probably would have taken that $50,000 and just use it to buy a house and house hack a property, and I'll learn a lot more doing that. So it's a time to take risks, and it's a time to fail. And this is how compounding starts, right? So obviously my future kids are going to have, at least knowledge wise, a huge advantage. Hopefully they have ambition and they pick up my ambition, but if not, they definitely will have a head start in terms of knowledge, and then in terms of like being redirected in the right way, which I never had growing up, because my parents didn't have the wherewithal to do that. They're just surviving day by day. So just take risk and fail. And then the last thing I would do is really strive towards the future, but still live in the present, because today is the day that you'll be the youngest you'll ever be. Like, every day you're getting older every day. So I think I'm old now at 34, but like, this is the youngest I'll ever be. Like, one day I'm gonna be 44, and I'm look back like, damn, 34 was young. Just like now I'm 34, I think, wow, 24, it was young. But it flies by really fast. Like, I just remember graduating pharmacy school, and that was 11 years ago, right? I remember buying my first piece of real estate, and that was like 7 years ago. So like, time flies. Like, I remember when COVID first hit, I thought, wow, time's so slow. But it's been 4 years past COVID. So like, time flies. And just take action. Like, treat every day like, have a sense of urgency in the day-to-day stuff, but big picture goals be patient. So that's really it. So hopefully you found this advice valuable, assuming that you're younger than me. And this would have really helped me probably get to my $6 million net worth faster, to be honest, and probably own more real estate, and maybe be retired from my W-2, right? Having multiple businesses and whatever that looks like. But any case, hopefully you found value from this video. Let me know if any comments or questions below. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one. And like, if you want to buy multifamily residence, some guidance, check out the links down below. Otherwise, hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.